As focus strengthens, people begin to notice something subtle but important. Not all distractions come from the outside. Some come from within. Even in silence, the mind often tries to escape. It looks for easier thoughts, simpler problems, familiar loops. This is another reason deep work feels difficult at first. It removes not only external noise, but internal avoidance. Depth forces confrontation with uncertainty. When someone sits with a difficult problem without distraction, there is nowhere to hide. Confusion becomes visible, gaps in understanding surface, progress slows before it accelerates. This moment is critical. Many people mistake this friction for failure. They assume that if work feels hard, they are doing something wrong. In reality, this friction is the sign that real thinking has begun. Shallow work feels smooth because it avoids resistance. Deep work feels demanding because it engages it. Over time, people who accept this discomfort develop a different relationship with effort. They stop expecting clarity at the beginning and start trusting it to emerge through persistence. This patience changes how problems are approached. Instead of searching for quick answers, focused individuals stay with questions longer. They explore nuances. They allow ideas to mature. This leads to deeper understanding and more original outcomes. Originality rarely comes from speed. It comes from depth. Another shift happens around stimulation. As attention becomes less fragmented, the need for constant input decreases. Silence becomes tolerable. Stillness becomes useful. This does not mean boredom disappears. It means boredom is no longer feared. Boredom is often the gateway to insight. When the mind is not occupied with constant novelty, it begins to organize itself. Patterns emerge. Connections form. Many of the best ideas arrive not during frantic activity, but during quiet moments that allow thought to unfold naturally. Depth creates these moments on purpose. As people become more comfortable with sustained focus, they also become more selective. They begin to question habits that once felt automatic. Do I really need to check this now? Does this deserve my attention? What am I postponing by switching tasks? These questions slow behavior just enough to restore choice. Choice is the foundation of focus. Without it, attention is reactive. With it, attention becomes intentional. This intentionality extends beyond work. It influences how time is spent, how information is consumed, how relationships are managed. People stop trying to keep up with everything. They accept that missing some things is the cost of doing important things well. This acceptance is freeing. It removes the pressure to be everywhere. It replaces it with the clarity of being somewhere fully. As this mindset settles in, the fear of missing out weakens. In its place grows a different concern, the fear of wasting attention. Attention begins to feel valuable, even fragile. People become protective of it, not out of rigidity, but out of respect. This respect changes behavior more effectively than discipline ever could. Instead of forcing focus, people begin to design for it. They adjust routines, they simplify inputs, they create conditions where distraction has less power. This is when depth stops feeling like an effortful act and starts feeling like a default mode. At this point, the difference between shallow and deep work becomes unmistakable. Shallow work leaves the mind restless. Deep work leaves it settled. Shallow work fills time. Deep work fills understanding. Shallow work ends with fatigue. Deep work ends with clarity. Once this contrast is experienced repeatedly, it becomes difficult to ignore. The mind naturally gravitates toward what feels meaningful. This is why deep focus, once established, tends to reinforce itself. Progress becomes motivating, improvement becomes visible, confidence grows quietly. And with confidence comes autonomy. People who consistently produce high-quality work gain leverage. They earn trust. They are given more freedom to structure their time. This freedom further protects focus. This feedback loop is powerful. Depth creates value. Value creates autonomy. Autonomy protects depth. Over time, this loop compounds. Careers built this way look different. They are less frantic, less reactive, more deliberate. They are shaped by intention rather than urgency. And now, as we approach the next phase, one thing becomes clear. Deep focus is not something that fits into a chaotic life by accident. It must be supported. Not by motivation, not by willpower, but by design. And that is where we are headed next. As attention becomes more stable, people often realize something unexpected. Focus does not remove difficulty, but it makes difficulty meaningful. Problems do not disappear. Work does not become effortless. What changes is the relationship with challenge. Instead of feeling like resistance, difficulty begins to feel like engagement. This shift is subtle but powerful. When attention is scattered, effort feels heavy because it produces little progress. When attention is focused, effort feels purposeful because each step builds on the last. This is why deep work often feels energizing even when it is intense. The mind recognizes momentum. It senses direction. Momentum is deeply motivating. In contrast, shallow work creates the illusion of movement without traction. Tasks are completed, but nothing accumulates. The mind stays busy, but progress remains unclear. Over time, this difference affects confidence. People who work deeply trust their ability to handle complexity. They have evidence. They've seen themselves stay with hard problems and come out the other side. This trust changes how they approach new challenges. They are less intimidated by difficulty because they associate it with growth. Difficulty becomes a signal, not a threat. This is one reason deep focus is so closely tied to mastery. Mastery does not come from avoiding hard things. It comes from engaging with them repeatedly, deliberately, and without distraction. As this engagement becomes habitual, attention strengthens further. The mind becomes less reactive. It no longer jumps at every stimulus. It learns to stay. Staying is the skill. Staying with a thought. Staying with a problem. Staying with uncertainty long enough for clarity to emerge. In a world optimized for instant response, this ability is rare, and rarity creates value. As more people struggle to concentrate, those who can focus deeply gain a disproportionate advantage. They do not need to work faster. They work with more substance. Their ideas carry more weight. Their solutions are more robust. Their output lasts longer. This advantage compounds quietly. It does not announce itself. It reveals itself over time. This is why deep focus often goes unnoticed at first. It does not create constant visible activity. It creates results. And results have a way of becoming visible eventually. Another important realization emerges here. Focus is not about control. It is about alignment. Trying to force concentration through sheer willpower usually fails. Willpower is limited. It exhausts quickly. Alignment, on the other hand, is sustainable. When goals are clear, environments are supportive, and distractions are minimized, focus happens more naturally. Less energy is spent resisting temptation. More energy is available for thinking. This is why people who rely solely on motivation burn out, while those who design their attention thrive. Design removes friction. It reduces the number of decisions that drain mental energy. It replaces constant choice with clear defaults. Over time, this design becomes invisible. Focus feels normal. Distraction feels intrusive. This reversal is critical. When distraction feels normal, focus requires effort. When focus feels normal, distraction requires justification. This is the point at which deep work becomes self-sustaining.
From here, progress accelerates. Learning becomes faster because attention is undivided. Skills deepen because practice is deliberate. Output improves because thinking is thorough. But perhaps the most important change is internal. People who focus deeply experience a sense of agency that is rare in modern life. They feel less controlled by external demands, less pulled by noise, more grounded in intention. This agency is empowering. It restores the feeling that time is something to invest, not something that is constantly taken. And this feeling changes everything. Work becomes something you shape, not something that happens to you. Effort becomes a choice. Attention becomes a tool rather than a liability. This is the quiet power of depth. Not loud, not dramatic, but transformative. And now, as this first long exploration draws toward its natural close, one truth stands out clearly. The ability to focus deeply is not a personality trait, a luxury, or a preference. It is a skill that can be trained, protected, and strengthened. In a world full of noise, that skill is worth more than ever.